I'm Tracy Pinnock, and welcome to the Bitter to Better podcast, where I talk all things love and life that help women live better after breakups. I'm glad you're here, and let's get into it. Hey, welcome to the pod. Today I am talking about taking that solo trip and how to deal with the after-vacay blues. I'd first like to say that it really shouldn't be so revolutionary for women to travel on their own. So whether it's single women without children who just want to go somewhere, or a big one, which is moms going by themselves on a trip or a vacation without their partner, if they are partnered, or without their children, or without their friends. So I just want to talk about it. Me personally, I've done the solo vacay thing a couple of times. Like super solo, I've done once, meaning I went somewhere with no intention of meeting up with anyone else. So I'll talk about that. But also then just like traveling by myself to go meet someone. So for instance, just this past April, I went to visit my best friend in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that was just me traveling. My kids didn't go, but I stayed at her home with her husband, and her children. But in the past, I did an Airbnb, actually 2 Airbnbs in the same trip, in which I just went to be alone and have quiet time and space from all things, all people, and it was fabulous. Can't recommend it enough, and I can't wait to do it again sometime. So I am recording this while I'm out at the playground, and so I do not have my notes in front of me. Therefore, I hope I do not forget anything that I want to talk about. Also, I'm trying to walk with my back against the wind so that it doesn't disrupt the sound quality so much, so bear with me. But also, in this episode, in the show notes, there will be a lot of vacation resources. So if you are thinking about doing something like this, I highly recommend you check the show notes. Also, this is a great time for me to ask that you rate and or review this podcast on whatever pod platform you are using, because it's very helpful to the show. And I realize I do not ask that enough. So please give me some good star ratings. Thanks. So when I think of the solo vacay, I really think of focusing on keeping it small and close and easy. So you can do some big trip to some faraway place, for sure, go for it. But one thing that I try to do is help people remove as many of the roadblocks as possible to them doing something that's good for themselves. And when it comes to women traveling on their own or moms getting away on their own, the idea of a trip being far away or particularly expensive or in an unknown place, these tend to be major roadblocks to them doing the thing. So I love the idea of getting an Airbnb in a nearby town, or a place that's just a few hours away from you, and making that your trip. And the idea is that you get out of your normal environment. Maybe you choose an Airbnb that's very different from your home. So maybe it's more luxurious, or it's in a really woodsy area, or I don't know, it's on the beach. Something that helps the environment feel very different from your own. But maybe you don't. Maybe it's just a matter of being away and being able to have time to yourself. But that you get like an Airbnb or a VRBO or something like that, a hotel room where you can just go and it's not too far away, and it doesn't necessarily have to be thousands of dollars for you to go. But the idea is that you get a change of environment, you get time to yourself, you get to explore a new area, things like that. So when I lived in Queens, New York, I got an Airbnb in Greenwich, Connecticut and New Rochelle, New York. And so I did 2 nights. And I went and I did nothing that I didn't feel like doing. I did a little bit of work, which worked well for me because I wanted some time to organize myself when it came to work. I ate, I napped, I believe I cried. I believe I did some crying. That was very, very helpful and useful. It was at a time where I was considering leaving the relationship I was in, which I ultimately did decide to do. And so I was going through a lot emotionally at the time. I remember seeing a plane, like I was looking out the window of this high-rise apartment building that I was staying in New Rochelle. And I remember seeing a plane fly across the sky, and I looked up and I was crying. And I think it was just the emotional stuff I was going through in my life at the time, but also this was 2021, so still COVID times, but post-COVID enough that people were starting to travel again. And I was so sad that the last time I had been on a plane was 2018. And it just brought up all these emotions that I did not expect a plane in the sky to bring up. So nonetheless, it was a time for me to reflect and to think and to rest and to relax and to get some work done. So it like checked all the boxes for me. So this is me encouraging you. Well, first of all, this is me changing recording locations. I'm now at home in the evening, and I'm not on the playground. But this is me encouraging you to think about what you currently need. Do you need peace and quiet? Do you need time to think? Do you need to get organized professionally or personally? Do you need relaxation? Do you need wellness? Do you need excitement? Do you need rest? Any of these things are great reasons to do a little solo getaway, to go stay in a hotel or Airbnb, even a couple of hours away from home, and book a massage and take a nap and watch TV and go for walks and go online and research random things that you've wanted to get information about but never have the time or energy. Meditate, do whatever you want, but on your own. Reflect, journal, think, ask yourself important questions. Journaling, by the way, doesn't have to just be written. You can type it. You can use voice memos and record yourself. So you can get creative with whatever the best form of expression is for you. But do some self-reflection, asking yourself important questions about yourself and your life. Are you happy? What would be different? What would you like to be different in your life? What are you happy about in your life? Like, what are you happy or what are you content with in your life? What are dreams and hopes and desires that you have? Research those things. Maybe there's some places you want to travel or some experiences you want to have. So I just highly recommend, ideally on an annual basis, having just like a couple of nights getaway for yourself. Just you. Do you like what you're hearing? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Want to help the pod? If so, please know it's greatly appreciated, and I welcome you to support the Bitter to Better podcast however you can. Might I suggest a few options? First, please rate and review the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or whatever platform you choose. Next, how about sending this podcast to one friend who you know could use it? This way, she can't say you've never given her anything. If you're really riding with me, talk about the show on social media and tag me. I'm at Tracy Panak on Instagram. And lastly, if you ever use any products or services I mention in the pod, can you tell them Tracy Panak from the Bitter to Better podcast sent you? Please and thank you. Now that I've spoken about going on your solo getaway, I want to talk about dealing with the post-getaway blues. And I feel like the blues maybe come in particularly when you've had maybe like a big, exciting trip. Although, as I say this, I guess no, you could really have the blues even just returning home to the chaos after your solo mini getaway. But nonetheless, there's some things, particularly after my most recent trip to Raleigh, there's some things that I realized can help in the transition from vacation or getaway back to real life. So I just wanted to mention some of them. First, starting with before you leave. So having your home be, organized and clean is definitely a good way to help yourself in the transition back home, because coming home to a clean and organized home feels way better than a chaotic home. So maybe, for instance, if you're a mom and you left the kids with your partner, maybe you have part of your getaway request be that certain things be in order at home upon your return. So just think about how you'd like your space to look and try to get it in that order before leaving, because that will help a lot in your return. Also, this is something I unintentionally did, which is just days before leaving for my trip, I had purchased a nightstand for my bedroom. I'd been needing one for a while and finally found one that I wanted, and that I could afford and that I was willing to pay the price for. And so I put that in my room just days before I left, and I didn't think anything of it. But when I returned home, it felt a little bit like a new space. I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot I got a new nightstand before I left. And this really brings me some joy. So just kind of a small upgrade to your space before you leave, a new rug or a new plant or something like that. Obviously, if you get the plant, you want to make sure you get like the watering bulbs or something like that, or have somebody who's going to water your plants. But my point is, something nice to kind of upgrade your space. It can be really nice to return home to that. Also, let's see, returning to good weather. By the way, I can look at my notes now because I'm home, so this is good. But returning to good weather, which is obviously out of your control, but that was also a very nice experience for me. I returned to New York City. It was like 10 o'clock at night, but it was like 79 degrees or something like that, 71 degrees. It was nice. And going from a warm place back to a warm New York City was very helpful. So obviously that's out of our control, but I just wanted to note that is definitely something that helps in the transition back home. Something else that happened that was not intentional, but I'm like, oh, I am definitely going to do this pretty much every time I go away, which is to have a package arrive to my house soon after my return. While I was in Raleigh, I made a clothing purchase on a website, and that purchase was delivered the day after I got home. And it was so exciting. I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot I ordered this on my trip. This is so fun. It brought me so much joy to have the package arrive, and it helped me kind of be like, all right, it's not so bad being home. So I actually am intentionally going to do that whenever I travel, if I can, buying something small that I want, that I'm interested in, and having it arrive upon my return, because then there's something to look forward to. I got to get home to get my package. So that is definitely helpful. Also, having plans with people or for yourself upon your return. So even making the plans before you leave, having brunch scheduled with your friends, or having a concert that you're going to go to, or some fun thing you want to do with your kids, anything like that. So just having something already on the books kind of soon after you return can be really helpful, because again, it's something to look forward to. Another thing that I highly recommend is kind of resetting your routine. When you go away, it's a break from the chaos, right? And it allows you to reset, especially if your solo getaway is one in which you are doing a lot of wellness-based things and really tending to your needs. Then it allows you to reset. So I strongly recommend kind of choosing to get into kind of good habits around basic self-care. So for me, it's doing something related to my law of attraction practice, making sure I'm doing some sort of, exercise, even if it's minimal, but kind of being like, okay, I've been gone for a few days or I've been gone for a week and now I'm back home and I'm going to make sure I go walking, 2-3 days a week. So kind of thinking about the basic self-care areas, which are sleeping, eating, moving our bodies, socializing, and boundary setting. What are small ways that I can kind of start a new routine or kind of get back on track with the routine? The boundary setting one actually is interesting. As I'm talking, I'm thinking about this. Like, if, especially if part of why you went on your getaway was to kind of get space from people, whoever those people may be, your children, family, friends, your partner, whoever, then being deliberate about putting in place or enforcing some boundaries upon your return. So if it was like, I don't know, like with the kids, you can't have a second to yourself. You go to the bathroom and people are barging in or knocking at the door. Maybe you make it a point to kind of reset some things upon your return and be like, okay, mom's back, and, new official rule that is actually being enforced. When I'm in the bathroom, I'm not here, sort of thing. But even something small, or I don't know, you had a person who, called you, incessantly. Maybe, I don't know, your mom, would call and, those are stressful calls for you. Maybe upon your return, you kind of let her know, hey, I will, I would love to talk to you, that sort of thing. But, Friday nights, I'm zoning out. Friday night is a no chat time for me, or we only can chat about the fun stuff or stuff like that. So just kind of, it's a good way to be able to reset on healthy routines for yourself. And then lastly, my absolute favorite, and I mean, this is just what I do in my life constantly, is upon your return, book or at least research your next trip. Already have it on the books. Either literally have it on the books because you've booked something, or have it on the books in your mind. And this may not necessarily be a solo trip. I just mean another trip of some sort that you're looking forward to. So it can be with anyone, but the idea being like, maybe I'm not super excited about returning back home to the chaos, but I am excited about knowing that in X amount of time, I will be away again. I will be on another trip. And then overall, I recommend trying to do this solo getaway at least once a year. So those are my thoughts on taking a solo trip, on kind of a mini getaway in particular, and how to help yourself transition back home when the inevitable happens and you have to, go back home. All right, that's all I have for today. Hey, by the way, I can be found in other places besides this podcast. Just search my name on YouTube and you'll find my channel. Subscribe for periodic how-to videos for dealing with breakups and mastering dating. That's right, I said mastering dating. It's a skill, ladies. I can also be found on Instagram at Tracy Panak. And lastly, I most encourage you to join my email list where you get breakup and dating support delivered to your inbox, in addition to getting the most exclusive access to my programs and coaching services. My email list subscribers are the first to know when my coaching programs launch and the only people to get discounts when they're offered. As always, I'm glad we got into it and looking forward to next time.